afternoon at this point. My name is Moira Allen.
I'm Lori Lacey.
I'm Monica Wong.
I'm Jonathan Gabriel.
And together we are Team Interrobang. So after reviewing your needs, we did identify a few key opportunities to help position Southern Star Travel as a leader within the sustainable tourism operators industry. So since most of your communication takes place on digital platforms, we are going to make suggestions for modifications and adjustments to your existing online content just to make it a little bit more approachable. We are also wanting to establish a stronger brand identity as perceived through those digital platforms that is clear and distinct within the industry. And to support that effort, we're going to suggest that you be consistent with social media interactions and consistent with a newer voice, which we'll talk about later on in the presentation. And we also suggest that you form partnerships which will provide means of strategic alliance to help increase your reach to both existing and latent audiences.
Okay.
So to provide some context for the suggestions that we'll be making, we did conduct a marketing environment analysis. And so what we discovered was that there's already an existing expectation for tourism, for the tourism industry to have sustainable practices, since there has been a recent increase in awareness and interest in responsible travel. And so what that says is that it's not necessarily considerably a unique selling point at this point in time, that it's more established as a given for consumers. But that does display an evident vast audience for Southern Star Travel to call upon. However, at this time, despite this increase in awareness and desire for responsible travel practices, the demand for travel from the U.S. to Cuba is currently at a low, and that's for various reasons. So some of them include a perceived difficulty in travel restrictions, limited flight options because of the more recent surge in 2015 and 2016 following price surge in Cuba, or price inflation in Cuba. Airline companies have not seen the demand that was once there, and so that now there are fewer flight opportunities for individuals to travel there. There are also concerns about the Zika virus in recent years, and then lastly, the current U.S. President's vague statement on full review of Cuban and American diplomatic relations. However, internally, we did determine that despite having limited resources, specifically in terms of time, since there are only 3 of you, we do see you as having very notable strengths in both your expertise and experience, and even more so in your approachability. And so we really wanted to amplify those strengths through through social media adjustments and those strategic partnerships, which again we'll detail later on in the presentation.
So here's our target market. If we pick one person out of this group, maybe we'll find him. Louis, 24 years old, graduate student, single, lives in Austin. He plans to go traveling after he graduates, and maybe he will travel with a group of friends who have the same interest. And they are humorous, they love traveling, of course, and they like technology, they like socializing, and they are ready for anything new and fresh. And how do we come up with this? We did some secondary research. We found out that young people, they rather spend money on experiences than buying something like tangible, and they are less likely to be deterred from traveling because of terrorism, political and civil unrest. And they like to return and give more value back to the place they travel to. And wherever they go, they post on social media, so they are more likely to attract other people to go travel to the place they go. Just sounds like our perfect audience, because we care about sustainable travel and we care about educational travel. And we did more research by primary research. We sent out the survey and got 253 respondents. 71% of them are age 20 to 35. Here are the results we get. We found out that when they do research on traveling, they go to travel websites and they ask their friends and families about opinions, and they go to social media to find information. Although they say like 6-7% say that they don't think educational expedition serves as a drive to go to Cuba, but actually you find out that sometimes what they say is not what they mean. Yeah, next page. So we asked other questions in their survey. We asked them, have you considered traveling to Cuba and why? And people said, yes, I'm interested in experiencing the culture and seeing the sights before Western culture moves in and modernize everything. And other people say, yes, I'm history buff, I'd love to go there. And other people say, yes, I study Spanish as a second language. I want to go there to experience the culture. Somebody say no because it's unfamiliar and a bit frightening. That's understandable. And we asked Americans traveling to Cuba must to do so as an educational expedition. Does that affect your desire to go and why? Somebody said, yeah, if I have to go jump through a lot of hoops, I would go elsewhere. And other people say, yeah, because I don't know what it entails. I don't know what that means. And somebody says no, because as long as I can go, I don't care what the government says. Like, they want to call this, oh, that's fine, as long as I can go. And also other people said, no, because I think traveling anywhere is educational, so I don't think that will be a barrier. Lots of other people also say, oh, I like the people-to-people traveling, so I think that's educational. Or I can practice my Spanish there because I'm a Spanish learner. So you can find out that just now they said, oh, I don't think educational traveling is the drive that can drive me to travel to Cuba, but actually you will find out things they want are actually educational and sustainable. Yeah, so the insights we get from our survey is that although they said they don't like that, but actually they want it. So they don't understand what is sustainable travel or educational travel, but if you tell them, oh, you can go there and practice your Spanish and you can get involved with local people and learn about the local culture, they will be like, yeah, I'd like to go, and that's why I want to go there. So instead of talking about we do sustainable or educational travel, we just talk directly about the benefits you can get from traveling with us. And also they don't want to go through those like things that they need to go through because of the government regulations. That's why we are here, so we can save them time and trouble.
So from all of this market research, we've created a brand position for Southern Star Travel. And instead of focusing on sustainable travel as a buzzword, we're going to focus on the benefits of sustainable travel as reasons to go. We want to make authentic connections with our end users. We want to position ourselves as a tourism operator which helps young people make authentic connections with Cuban local culture and nature in the most convenient and cost-effective way. So we actually came up with a couple of brand terms to help: fun, unique, down-to-earth, curious, creative, authentic, reliable, and eco-friendly. From here, we recommend to do a brand refresh. We've taken the Southern Star Travel logo and streamlined it and modernized it and created a consistent typography for it. This allows for scalability. The redesign we've done scales from a business card to the side of a bus without loss of resolution, and will create a consistent brand identity for your company.
Here is our product positioning, because we are already doing pre-made vacation packages. So now we have the solo package, small group, Spanish immersion, student travel, and for educators. I think this is very good, and we want to keep doing this, but offer them more choices. Like if you like food and culture, there's a package for that. If you like architecture and history, there's a package for that. Because some people said, oh, I like to go to Cuba because I heard it's 1950s America, so I want to go back in time. So maybe they are interested in the history and the architecture part. So we just want to offer more packages to them, so when they search about things, they find us and then they feel, oh, this is exactly what I want. But we want to make a little bit change, because now I know we are trying to offer more personalization for their traveling. But actually people are very lazy. They just want to see what you can get, what they can get. And if they need to like email you and ask you questions, they may just give up. And also they don't know enough to ask you the right question to design their own trip. So they prefer to see like the price and the itinerary. Also in our survey we asked them, would it be helpful if you see the past itinerary and pricing when you make your traveling decisions? And 73% said yes. So we want to give the more detail as we can. I know that sometimes because of the license and the season, the price may vary, but you can give them like a range. Just let them know, oh, this is like how much money you probably need to spend here. So they are more clear about the whole thing, and it will help them to make the right decision. Web redesign. This is a new page of our About section. The old About section, we have 4 sections under it. It talks about sustainability, safety, and responsible and quality. But now we want to put them all in one page and reduce the copy and use more appealing picture and videos, because people are more attracted by pictures and videos, and their attention span is the lowest when they have to read long paragraphs. So we want to like make it easier for them. And also, instead of saying what we did for Cuba and what we can offer to you, we want to say it from their perspective, tell them what you can get from traveling with us. So the new copies, like you can do these by doing this. So like you can immerse yourself in the local culture by staying in the local hotel instead of like chain stores, or you can dine in the restaurant, like from garden to table restaurant. These are all the old copies I found from our current website, and I think those copies are good. I just rearranged it in a different way. Yeah.
Okay, we decided to do a social media revamp, and some of the things we were focusing on when we were doing that was the aspects like follower count and engagement. As you see, the Facebook has 364 followers, Instagram 130, and Twitter 72. Also the engagement rates, you could also see those. We came up with some really creative strategies to get those, to increase those, and Monica's going to tell you some more about it.
It's me again. So social media, the hashtag, I think we need to be consistent with the hashtags. Just use a set of hashtags and use them across the platforms so that people know these hashtags, all hashtags. And also we need to pay attention not to overuse hashtags. Don't use like a bunch of hashtags after a post. We also want to create a hashtag involving our brand names, Southern Star Travel. Because Southern Star, there are other companies called Southern Star, so we want to have like the travel. It's a little long, but when people see this again and again, they will know, oh, this is our company. And when they are interested in the search about Southern Star Travel, the first website is our website, so they will learn more about our company. And content, we want to add more call to action and promote, have some content that are more engaging, and people will like be more likely to repost the contents. Also, same as the website, we want to use more high quality visuals like pictures and videos, because currently we have some problem with like pixelized pictures. We want to like improve the quality of that. Others, we can also do giveaways because people like free stuff. In the plans book, we will find out we designed some like giveaway bags or a name card with our logo on it. So you can like encourage them to repost, post with our hashtags by giving away things. So like, why not? Like they can just get free stuff. And also we need to follow some other relevant social media accounts. So their followers, they will see us, so they will follow us because we are all relevant. Also, the different social media platforms, they have different features. So we want to post differently according to the different platform. For example, Instagram is based on pictures, so we want to use that as like sharing moments, like you are traveling and this is what you did, and like all appealing pictures. And Facebook, you can post more complicated things like links there, so we want to use Facebook to be informational platform, talk about our events, our news. Twitter, because there's a limitation of how much word you can write there, so use just short announcements on Twitter. Here are a list of hashtags we suggest.
Okay. So we decided to do some revamping on the social media posts. Something that we want to focus on is, the positive aspects of Cuba and showcasing, Southern Star Travel's, knowledge of Cuba, because you guys have a, tremendous amount of knowledge with that. Second, we want to focus on making like the public aware of what your brand message is and like what your intentions are in your services. And then the third thing, something we'd love for you guys to do is continue like posting, educational things on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, because that just gives you more knowledge and the public more knowledge. And I think people like, reading those type of things coming from an expert. So right here, we decided to give you a chart of like media buys and social media posts. Now, as you can see, we have like some peaks right here, and that's because most people book their vacations and like trips, about 6 months in advance, so we kind of wanted to focus on that. As you can see right here, we have a high season in December through February, and also a higher season around like March and May, and students travel in June and July. So we just kind of wanted to show you guys this and how you could schedule your media buys and social media posts.
Okay, and then in terms of events and partnerships, we do suggest that on an international level that you already align with many of the points in UNESCO's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and Tourism. So it would be a great opportunity for you to also align with them online. There are methods of attaining partnership through their website, and that also includes really banking on this year being the year of sustainable tourism, and so really trying to heighten your presence not only through those social media interactions, but also in terms of creating events. Now, granted, those would take place on a local level, which is why we suggest partnerships with places like Travel Plus Social Good and Native Hostel Austin. So Travel Plus Social Good is actually a global nonprofit, but it has local hubs, and one of them is here in Austin. Their main focus is to connect with sustainable companies like yours in order to connect them with social media influencers and other digital experts who are able to better promote your values and your services. And they actually have an event coming up this weekend, and I'm happy to send you the information about that. And I've actually spoken with them, and they're really excited about the potential partnership. So just to put that in your corner. And then the Native Hostel Austin, it isn't actually in existence yet. However, they are becoming closer and closer to actually creating their space. the reason that we would suggest partnership with them is because of your shared values in terms of education via travel and at a low cost. The Native Hostel has already stated on their website that they intend to host a number of various types of events, and so that would be a great opportunity for partnership, is to utilize them as an event space and to also connect with those existing shared audiences.
So I'm going to run through a budget breakdown really quickly just to point out a couple of key factors. Our total budget here is $10,000. Under website design, we've broken that out by layout and navigation. So one of them is the refresh to the look and feel and the navigation of your website. The second one is e-commerce functionality. Now, e-commerce functionality doesn't necessarily mean that a person has to use that system to check out, but what it allows them to do is use it as a framework for presenting information on your tour, on your vacation packages, without actually allowing them to check out. Instead of having an add to cart function, you can have a request information function. So, and the second thing we talk about is social media, and we've broken that into two areas. One is content creation, the other one is boosted post. Now, under content creation, we consider this internship level or freelance level content creation only. So any social media management we would imagine would come directly from Southern Star Travel and not from a paid outside service. And then, as we've mentioned briefly before, for events and partnerships, we allocated 500 tote bags, and then a small amount for banner and booth setups that are easily transportable to events like at Native Hostel or anything like that. So, and to summarize, these are the focuses. These are what we're hoping to achieve. By doing things like creating vacation packages, providing itineraries and price ranges on the website, we're going to increase your qualified web conversions. So now when a person emails you, you're not doing as much communication with them back and forth on the fundamentals of what your service is. A lot of that's being taken care of by our website. Because of our brand position, we're going to increase social media followers to Facebook and Instagram accounts, because we're going to be using those hashtags, using those the idea of connections with your followers to increase those social media accounts and increase engagement by talking about things that are important to your followers and asking them to engage back with you, and through giveaways that we talked about earlier. And that is all that we have to show for you today. If you have any questions, just let us know.
Okay. Thank you, team.
Yeah, we can all.
We'll all move into this field for you.
You're out.
If I could ask a quick question, because one of the assets, I think anyway, Ryan, we'll discuss this later. One of the assets, I think, is looking at the visual branding that you talked about. Could you jump back to that slide where it's not you didn't make massive changes, you're very respectful of what they had, obviously. But I was wondering if, for those of us, meaning me, who aren't designers, you laid out some criteria.
Keep going back to the
Keep going
logo
back
piece.
if you don't
There
mind.
you go.
And this is a good, well, right, okay.
This
That's a good starting point.
Okay.
How does the slightly altered visual that is on the next slide match some of these criteria in sort of a brand positioning? Like, can you connect the adjectives a little bit for me?
You actually can. By streamlining and modernizing the look of the logo is actually pretty on trend. Other young brands would use similar things. And what the cool thing is the green that's on the Southern Star website now is actually a really popular modern color, so we actually kept it.
Okay. Yeah.
Using the font that I used on the logo, which if you can
You
point
can go
forward, sorry.
There we are.
Yeah, this style of font, of typography, is actually a really up-to-date, modern look. It makes the overall logo design look fresh and young, and just creates more of a standard.
And then obviously it's, in terms of the color use compared to, say, the original one, looks a little bit like, say, a stamp that would come on this wonderful package
Right.
from afar. How does solidifying that play into the description that the team offered?
I guess
As in, like, what's the asset of, if for example, the prior one had kind of rougher edges, less saturated color, if you will, how does altering that play into what the team's trying to achieve? 'Cause I don't even know how to ask questions about art direction.
So in that particular case, when it comes to that, what we're looking at as far as what are the trends in graphic design? How do we look as fresh and as modern and as reliable as a company as possible?
Okay.
So we want to have something that ages well.
Okay.
So the less things that we could, the more solid. You want to focus on things that look good or are on trend, but are not necessarily trendy.
Exactly.
So
Sure.
we wanted to push it to a place where I felt like you would get, without having to do a logo redesign, I wanted to put you in a place where you would be able to get a 5 to 7 year
Yeah.
life expectancy before you would have to do this again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay. And as well as obviously reproducibility
Right.
is way, way higher
Exactly.
with this, regardless of format, whether it's a hat or a website or whatnot.
exactly.
Okay. That's helpful. Ryan, what would you like to talk about, if anything? Obviously, we're going to visit hopefully soon. We'll get that on the calendar. But is there anything you'd like to talk about? Where are we? This afternoon, the clock tells me.
I did have a few questions about the presentation. I'm the one who tries to sort of do DIY the marketing stuff myself, and so I'm kind of curious about some of your methods. I might want to try to copy them. How did you get a survey that people responded to?
So we actually developed that survey ourselves and then distributed it via social media. So all of those respondents are in the South Texas area, and so that reaches the target audience that we're discussing, at least for your initial modifications, until you can reach geographically reach greater audiences. So we were very satisfied with that response rate, and that response rate actually occurred within 2 or 3 days. So really just, again, investing in the power of social media. Yeah.
And you just put that through your own personal feeds and say, hey,
Correct.
friends and family, I'm doing this project for my class, fill out this survey type thing?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you find you built, and I go back and forth on this, putting more extensive itineraries with price points on the sales page. Currently, they're not that way. Where did you come up with those numbers?
This is also our survey. We asked the question like, will seeing past itinerary and pricing help you when you do research on traveling? And 73% said yes. And also that's like just based on our experience when we do research on traveling things, we want to get as much detail as possible before we reach out to ask more questions. So it will be easier if I know, like I have 5 days and I'm going to do this, and like this is how much money I'm going to spend. Because all other companies, they are offering like details. So if you make me like spend more time on this, and maybe I'll just go to other companies.
If you were asking about like the specific number generated,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, actually, that can come from me. Those were just used as a web example. So what I did is gone to student travel websites that are focused on packages such as STA Travel, and kind of use it as a frame of reference of the kinds of activities and more the length of stay. And so we use that as a base reference, not to think that you could only charge those amounts, but to show that, like, you know, certain packages of shortened durations or certain activities would be lower than others. So.
Okay, so they're just kind of placeholders.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Let's see, you mentioned, I think, went through 5 different hashtags that you, and the company name as hashtag for use on social media. Are you suggesting to use those same 6 hashtags across all platforms on every post, or combinations of those depending on which channel? That was it.
There we are.
I would say
and the nature
that,
of the post.
so these hashtags recommended would be useful on any of the platforms. Sorry, I didn't mean to gesture
No.
in front of your face, my goodness.
No.
So they would be useful on any of the platforms, any combination, because of not only their popularity of use, but also their just simplicity. So it's not overwhelming if you use all of them on all platforms, and they will connect to users on all platforms. I did want to mention, I realized that I failed to in the presentation, the last hashtag, travel, enjoy, respect. that is in partnership with UNESCO's 2030 agenda.
Okay. That's a
So,
great hashtag.
yeah.
That's a good, very brand consistent statement.
Yes, and so it aligns
Of course,
very well with
so-
your values, but also is in existence
Yeah.
and
Pulls into a larger
and pulls
audience.
into a larger audience.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's neat. So somebody who's learning about the UNESCO program maybe clicks on that. Obviously, then that's part of the audience generation where they realize, oh, Southern Star Travel's using this a lot. Interesting
Right.
company.
And because of the strength
And I
of
used
the
to have a
hashtag,
whole
when
blog
you see it for
post
the first
on
time,
UNESCO, the developmental goals, and I took
Mhm.
it down because I thought it was too dry and boring and too
Well-
off topic and wasn't doing me any good on that. But yeah, we really.
But it shows how consistent you are philosophically, right? And
Yes.
that's part of what's so interesting about the company. That's part of what's magnetic.
I think that another great way of like making these more simple connections rather than say the blog posts that you're discussing, I think that's great for increased engagement with existing consumers. But in order to pull them in, using things like this will make those connections without going into so much depth. So they can do the research on their own, but then be able to hold those conversations with you later on.
Cool. I gotta say, on that graph where you had the season schedule by month, you nailed it. Wherever you're getting that information, it's absolutely on.
Yeah, that's helpful.
So when is that Travel and Social Good event? How do I get in touch with those guys?
So I'm more than happy to email you that information, and they also include a survey that they'd love for you to fill out. But it's on the 9th, so if you'll forgive me, I don't know what day of the weekend is right now.
You know what? Me neither.
Oh my
The
goodness.
9th is
That'll be Tuesday next week, I think.
Great. Sorry about that. It's at Hops and
That's all
Green. And so it's again trying to connect with those audiences in more of like a fun and interactive environment. So it's at a brewery. And Hops and Green also aligns with sustainable goals because they use sustainable practices in their
Nice.
brewing practices.
Yeah, they do a lot of this. They've been doing, actually, I got a message a month or something ago about like travel in East Asia, some event they were hosting.
Oh yeah.
So
Travel plus social good or Hops
Hops and Grain,
Oh, there
Hops
we
and
go.
Grain. So they're the venue for
Yeah.
they're the venue for the target market in
Yes.
terms of the 29-year-old with time and income and so on who cares about the world.
And then you recommended putting some money behind social media marketing. Let me go back to that slide because I want to get it right. Boosted posts. Okay, so I'm not using the buy mechanism where I'm trying to get more followers. I'm just boosting posts to try to boost engagement or boost impressions.
No, are you asking, so sorry, was that a question? Yes, no, you're boosting posts to actually get followers. So you can set a boosted post to reach people that aren't already following you. But have behavioral or psychographic or demographic characteristics that you're looking for. So you can set age range. If you can set geographical area. You can set. There's not really an income on Facebook, but there is like a job industry if you wanted to get that specific. But the interest section on Facebook for Facebook buys, because Facebook does both Instagram and Facebook buys. If you look at the interest area, so you want people that are interested in sustainable travel, obviously, but you want to look at things that correlate to some of those brand specific qualities, the brand position qualities that we talked about. So like adventure travel or international travel or things like that. And you can use those interest areas to help to set those guidelines for those.
Who's going to do website update, layout, and navigation for 1500?
Well, actually, I'm a freelance web developer for 10 years. So this is actually would be something that this is based on my own pricing structure. So this doesn't
solve that one.
So it's not necessarily what everybody would charge.
Yeah.
But what it is a move into, I'm not sure what platform you're on currently, but this would be a move into a WordPress content management system, which is an open source platform using an existed corporate theme. So there wouldn't be, it's basically just a setup fee. So you would be plugging everything in and they would just be doing a setup for you for $1,500.
And as far as e-commerce solutions that link to WordPress, what are you talking, like a Shopify type?
Actually, I was thinking of integrated into WordPress, which there's one called WooCommerce. WooCommerce is also free, but the integration and the setup because of the adjustments that you would have to make in order to not make it like a checkout system, but more of a inquiry system, would
Yeah.
require some web coding, and so I actually put more money to that because of the customization you would need to whatever e-commerce system you ended up putting in.
Yeah, but Woo works
Gotcha.
really well. I've used that actually, and I'm an idiot, and it's pretty easy to
Yeah,
use.
it's a lot of pushing buttons, but
Uh-huh.
it is just pushing buttons, so it's nice.
Yeah. And then you.
Yeah.
s-
Can we
you
do one
suggested
more, and then I
putting-
have to run to class?
I'm sorry?
Can we do one more question, and then I have to run to class, and we'll follow up?
Oh, okay. Let me see if I have anything really important.
I mean, I would let you just talk to them, but it's using all my technology.
Gotcha. Last question then. You suggested putting money behind social media ad buys, but no search engine marketing buys. No Google, no Bing. How come?
So if you're going to do a Google ad buy, you're looking for people who are already looking for you. If you do social media ad buys, you're looking for people who may not already be looking for you. So if you're doing social media, like travel to Cuba, you may get a low turnout for that. If you buy for Cuba travel on Google. If you focus on people who are already traveling and maybe have never considered Cuba travel, this is the way I would do it. With a limited budget, go after people that don't know that they want to do this and tell them they do, rather than the small amount of people that you know want to go and try to get them to use you.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's cultivation
Exactly.
and growing a
And-
market versus
right.
targeting an existing market.
And the focus of our campaign over this 12 months was more about bolstering your brand position than like a sales goal
Yeah.
or a conversion goal.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
point.
Okay. Well, thanks for all that, all the work, all your time, and the answers to my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to email you and Dan, and we'll find a time in short order to go over all this.
All right. Sounds
Sound
good.
like a
I
plan?
have got about 10 days left, and then I'm out in the field again.
Me too. So that works well.
Perfect.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.